part of the eCube Justice League. So today I have my partner here with me.
Hi, I'm Miriam Dembele.
And we have our guest listeners in the house. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Tamisha. I'm Elvin.
And we have our main guest in the house. Please, can you introduce yourself?
I am Marcia Ranglin-Vassell, Mrs. Ranglin-Vassell, teacher here at EQ, and I'm a special education teacher.
I'm Ibelis Sabater. I'm a Spanish teacher here at EQ Academy and also the co-owner of Sabater Lab and the president of Sabater Lab Foundation.
Thank you. So we would like you guys to tell us more about what you guys do for a living.
Do you really want to know?
Yes.
Yeah. So I do a lot of things, and I'm a teacher by day, right? I'm a mom by night, grandmother by night. I also do some consulting around mental health, trauma. I am the founder of Global Fund to End Childhood Hunger and Poverty. And I really I like to think about the world as one and people coming together as one. So my work really centers around how can we bring people together and how can we create a just society, one in which everyone is valued regardless of their race, their culture, their religion, their sexual orientation, where everyone feels valued and feel that they have a right to be here. And so my work is multifaceted. And I'm a helper, I'm a servant leader. So wherever I see a need, wherever something needs to be fixed, I try to use my gifts, my talents, and my voice to help and to be helpful.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ranglin-Vassell, for the brief introduction about yourself.
Yeah.
And now I would like to go next to Ms. Sabater. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us more about what you do for a living?
Yes, during the day, I'm here as a teacher at EQ Academy. I'm also part of the ILT member and attendance member, too, team member. And I also write grants in the school to obtain material for what the students need. But also after school, I'm the co-owner of Sabater Lab with my husband. He's a clinical psychologist, so he provides counseling services, therapy, for people, all ages, kids, teenagers, adults, different ages. He also, we do psychological evaluations and educational evaluations too, during, after school, and he also does that during the day. Through Sabater Lab Foundation, we run services for the community, programs for the community, free. And one of those services are classes for parents and also for grant writing.
Thank you so much.
What comes to your mind when you hear the word mental health? Like, what's the first thing that you see? What's the first thing that you think when you hear the words mental health?
For me, comes the ability to interact with others and function in the community. And for that, we have to have mental health, stable mental health, and it's a state of mind and what involves feelings, emotions, even physical health, because mental health impacts physical health too.
So for me, it's everything, right? It's how we view ourselves. It's how we view the world. But it's also how do we access care and how do we take care of ourselves and our body, our emotions. So I started something that I did not mention, but I think it's important for me to mention this, that for 6 years I was in the Rhode Island General Assembly as a state representative. And through my work, I worked really, really hard to talk about, starting in January 2017, when the assembly was seated, started talking about trauma, right? And the impacts of trauma on children. Because I would teach it in my school during the day, and then I'd go to the State House at night. And I would see the impact of trauma on children who grew up just like I did, grew up in poverty, grew up in gun violence, and didn't have a lot of access. And so I started thinking, how can we help children? How can we help people? And so I started thinking about mental health in a meaningful and a deep way January 2017 when I introduced my first bill to look at the impact of trauma in kids who have one or both parents incarcerated. And I worked for 6 years, really fighting to center that conversation. And at the time, I should tell you, a lot of people were not talking about trauma. A lot of people were not talking about these issues in public, but I knew it was important. And so I was really delighted that we spent the last year after George Floyd, after everything broke loose and people started talking about trauma, to bring over 30 people together, including Ms. Sabater and her husband, and we would meet every Monday after school and bring a wide coalition of community leaders and regular people and students together on Zoom, via Zoom, because we were not meeting in person. And we passed the Trauma Informed Schools Act. So I was the one who actually authored that bill that is now Rhode Island law. And so a part of that bill, Center on Mental Health, was to make sure that we have a study commission whereby kids and teachers, more so many teachers who are not from the urban core, right, but who teach in the urban core, Central Falls, Woonsocket, Pawtucket, parts of West Warwick, to know what adverse childhood experiences are, and to see the intersectionality of teaching and learning and trauma and kids' mental health. So I am so grateful for you guys to do this and for us to be having a dialogue and a conversation about this, because mental health is just as important as physical health.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wrangler President. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Ms. Sabater. So we'd like to move to the next question. What do you feel about school having opportunity for students to have 4 mental health days? So one is going to be per quarter, but like for all the 4 quarters, one for each. So what do you feel about that?
I agree, because I think is like we were mentioning before, your mental health impacts all the areas in your life. So I think it's very important that the student have the right and the opportunity to have a mental health when they need it the most. I think the students could use those days to get help and to get support. To schedule an appointment if it's needed, and to talk to somebody that is part of the system that the student have. I think that could make a difference for that student to function also in the school and to interact in a healthy way with other students. It will have the student that safe moment at home, or if not at home, with the number that could be provided by the school that the student need that day. It could take it to be at home, to go to an appointment, and to be excused and not be impacted negatively in the attendance of the school.
Yeah, because that gives the students free reasons not to come. Seeing all the attendance, they give them a reason not to come to school, and it doesn't motivate them to come to school at all.
And this question is like very like important. That's why we're asking you guys, because some students says that their parents will be like, "What are you doing home? Like, why do you need a mental health day? You're not stressed. Like, you don't need this. You're supposed to be at school. Like, why did they make this possible?" So that's why we're really glad that you gave us that good answer, because some parents doesn't think like that.
Yeah.
And this is why we need you guys like support us.
Like, what do you say for the people who say that, oh, they're gonna use it as like a skip day, or it's not gonna be beneficial, it's only 4 days? Like, how do you feel about like people that would go around that route for the bill?
So one of the things that I would say, having done a lot of work on this, is that kids should have as many mental health days as they deem necessary, right? And so it could be just to be at home to rest, right? I could be at home to relax, because school is stressful, because life is stressful, right? So I think you can have a conversation with parents about why is mental health day necessary? It's necessary because sometimes my brain is tired. Sometimes I'm exhausted. Just make it really simple. But I will have an opportunity to catch up and to recoup and to do all my work. through before and after school tutoring, through Saturday school, because parents want to know that you're not missing out on your education.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to convince them, say, I won't miss out. I won't miss out because I have other opportunities for enrichment. My teachers are in the building at 7:45, and they're after school from 3:45 to 4:45. So I have opportunities. But I think it's so new, right? It's so different, whereby, and you can also say to them, Rhode Island would not be the only state that has done this. You can say to them, our neighbor in Connecticut has about 5 mental health days, and other states have it too. So Rhode Island is actually catching up, and something that is done not just in this country but in other countries. But I can understand how parents would say, you want to stop, not go to school. But you can say to them, mom or dad or grandparents or whomever, sometimes I just need to rest.
Yeah, and I think parents also have a main point on like mental health and being pushed, and especially if you're the first generation to graduate, that could be especially like stressful for someone.
Exactly, because parents, all parents, it doesn't matter where the parent comes from, right? They always, or guardians, right? Because you have parents and guardians. They always want the best. They want their children to be better than they are, right? So I think it's just helping mom or dad to understand or to get an appreciation that sometimes you really just need to take care of your mental health and your emotions and all that.
And also having the days approved would release and relieve the stress from the parents and the families, because they will know they have approved days. So that you are mentioning is going to be relieve that weight on the parents. And also like we were mentioning before, we could have a system like if the student will have alternative relaxation techniques, different options for them as a toolkit that they could use as needed.
Yeah, but the problem is that this happens like someone was like, oh my god, we need a mental health days, and then this person confront the student and goes like, oh, you're not stressed, you're just young, what have you faced in life? And then this kid can't say anything, and then she was just like staring at this lady like, but don't you understand what's going on here? Being a student is like very stressful. So do you think we should just like, maybe there should be a section that parents needs to be lectured about this? Because
education is key.
Yeah.
Like you are saying, I think we have to educate everyone. Everyone should be educated. Students should be educated, teachers, parents, everyone as a community. Education is powerful.
Yeah.
And keep in mind though that you guys have so brilliantly worked on, this is not just an EQ thing, right? This is going to be statewide. So folks will have an opportunity statewide, including your parents and guardians, to hear about this. They'll have an opportunity to go to the State House and ask questions, right? Of you and of the legislators, right? So this is not just an EQ thing, it's for Central Falls, East Greenwich, it's all over Rhode Island. And it's going to be shared because this is so different. This bill has never been thought about in the state of Rhode Island. Never, right? So, of course, we have excused absences if you're sick, right? But if I was a kid, I could say I'm sick and I'm not ready, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same, right? So parents would want to know, ask these questions. So I'm glad parents are asking these questions. But you guys have done so much research, you have the answers.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you think schools give students the opportunity to talk about mental health?
I hate to be the interviewer, right? But I want to ask you the question.
No. Well, me personally, no. But like in my middle school, I went to a middle school in Central Falls. My school is like very open. We had like different counselors and like I could go to them for a problem. But I feel like in high school, there's not as much as resources in high school. Like not a lot of high schoolers have a lot of resources to
Yeah.
go to, and not because I feel like they have so much pressure on the teachers. Oh,
Yeah.
you have to do this, you have to do
Yeah.
this, so they don't feel comfortable to be like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't feel okay to do this work. I don't feel okay to
Yeah.
turn in this project because I feel like I'm disappointing you.
Yeah.
Because I know I have some teachers I do something wrong. I'm like, damn, I really disappointed this teacher, and he really thought really highly for me. So I feel like we don't have as many like resources to talk about in high school for mental health. But I feel like younger, it was very inclusive, but not as much no more.
So the good news is, thank you for sharing that, because the good news, because of the Trauma Informed Schools Act that was passed in 2019, I believe, 2019, schools are getting so much better at are beginning to have these conversations. In fact, the state of Rhode Island just received about $8 million to bring trauma-informed education and training to teachers and school folks. So I think you'll hear more of these conversations moving forward, but I have to agree, not enough. Not enough.
Definitely not enough.
And I think we have at some level, I would say none, but I would say at some level, but I think it could be expanded so much more, because I think we have I know some students have the trust to come to some of us and ask for help, and that happens so many times, and then depending on our experience, we guide them and go to the office, and from there we take it. But like you say, I think this is something that it should get our attention.
Yeah.
And I think we need to do something about it, because it's impacting students' life and all the community. If we work on helping and working on mental health, other areas, attendance will be impacted, academic performance will be impacted, but the mental health portion, like you're saying, having a safe place to come multiple times a day, let's say. So I think that will make
because I feel like students don't like I feel like students don't see a fine line of like, oh, being able to talk to someone and then having the case of being a snitch or something. They feel like they're telling on someone.
Right.
They feel like they're talking about someone, and they feel like they're gonna get snitched on, or like because when you tell a teachers are obligated to tell like the higher authority something, so they don't feel as comfortable to go to them and be like, oh, I'm gonna get in trouble if something's happening at home. So I feel like having more outside resources for people to talk to, so they can feel way more comfortable in being, yes, I have someone to talk to, rather than not feeling comfortable.
And I think this also comes to trust, right?
Yeah.
To going to the people that you trust to talk to. And also students having an understanding that teachers are mandatory reporters, right?
Yeah.
And by that I mean, if you tell me, Mrs. Ranklin Vassal, I feel so overwhelmed, I feel so whatever, and I really feel I can't go on anymore, I am going to kill myself, right? And you tell me, I have to tell that, but I would have to share that with you. And so having conversations with a trusted person, right? Having you do conversations around prevention, having you know that you can call 988, right, which is a suicide hotline, which does not connect you to police, right? But it connects you to mental health counselors and people who can talk to you and understand you. I think those are the conversations that we need to have all the time, so children and students can know there is resources and there are options, and to know that you're not alone, right? Because sometimes students feel like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed, I feel so alone. But we want to have these conversations in such a way that we build trust and relationships.
Yeah, there's like a fine line in getting in trouble and a fine line in getting help.
Exactly. Yeah. But we want students to know that there's help.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important, I'm going back, Mariam, with what you said. Like, if it's important for you as a student that somebody come from the outside, I think you should share that with other people. I think you have to let them know, I need somebody also from the outside, because I will be more open to share more. So I think that your voice is powerful. I think all your voices are powerful, and will make an impact when you are sharing that aloud with other people.
So I think I would really like our listeners to say something too. I mean, they are students, so I would really like because she directed a question back at Miriam, and if she can express how she was feeling about that. So what do you guys think about question number 4. So, do you think school gives students the opportunity to talk about mental health days?
Probably not that much, if I'm being honest with you. Like Miriam said, probably. Oh, sorry. Like probably in this school, I wouldn't say that much opportunity. It could definitely be improved on. That's probably what I would say.
Well, I think it will be really good, really great if we get better outsources, because basically school is really it's really stressful. I can tell you, like, I have a lot classes, difficult classes, and every single day I go to sleep like at 1 a.m. Basically feeling like I can't anymore every single day, and I just wake up every single day and do the same stuff, and it's really difficult for me.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I feel kind of that way too. I like 3 days ago, I was saying I'm going to drop out of school because it's kind of stressful for me. And every time I don't feel safe from anyone from this school whenever I share anything with them. So that's why I went outside to get help. So because I felt like if I tell anyone in school whatever is happening to me, they'll feel like you're just talking about your problem too much. Because I need to talk about it. That's the way I feel better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they just go like, you're talking about this too much. You need to move on. You need
And
to
I
just
feel-
get over it. But like.
And I feel as if schools like they get like my fault, but like half-assed like counselors. Like I feel like they get people that like just do the simple, oh, you know, breathe in, breathe out, you're okay, go back to class. Like I feel like they don't do the simple like we really need to talk. Like I have resources outside of school. There's resources that like I feel like that's what we should really work on. Like especially not only in our school but just like in everybody's school.
Maybe
So-
we still need more professionalism and matured people in the school.
So I think this conversation is really, really important, right? Because I hear a lot of things, really, really great things, like feeling overwhelmed with school, right? Feeling overwhelmed with life, because life is exhausting, right? And school is exhausting. But I want you to know, all of you to know, that one, do the best that you can. Do the best that you can. And I always say publicly and privately that if we take care of our mental health, right? And if we have others who help us along, then the academics fall in place. That's my personal belief, right? And that's something that I've shared over the last 6 years, like working through this. But I want to just say to you guys around the table that resource is here in our school. I'm a certified trauma-informed specialist. So I'm not in the school because I don't have that capacity in the school. I'm just here as a special education teacher. But I do this work for people outside of school. And I want you to know that Miss Savitar is here, Mr. Dion is here, and you have support. And don't feel like the teachers are not here to support you. A lot is riding on them too from downtown. But have those conversations with them and say, I am really stressed. I am going to bed at 1 a.m. I need an extension. And start using your words. You know, when you're in elementary school, they say use your words. Start saying, I'm really overwhelmed. I am really feeling like this is too much. And use the iMessage. iMessage is powerful. I need your help. I need another week to turn in that paper. That iMessage is powerful. So just know that there's a lot of help out there. Lots and lots of help. And if you just feel like, oh my God, I just need someone to talk to, you can talk to us because we're your teachers too, you know, and confidential, like I said, because I'm very honest and transparent. If you tell me that you're suicidal, for example, that's not a secret between us because I know that you can get help and I know it can be prevented. But before that, we want to know that we can support you guys, not just academically, believe it or not. For me, mental health is so much more important than academics. And I'm saying this because it's true for me. Because unless you can take care of your emotional self, then I don't know what nothing else really matters.
So one of the scary thing that I'm staring at right now is that we made a survey before we started all these things so that we can have more evidence. And the one that we had for this school is really scary because the data came out that 36.5% of the students do not feel comfortable talking about mental health days. So why do you think they feel that way?
What I would say, it is not just the school.
Okay.
The issue of mental health is kind of like taboo, right? Especially in communities of color, right? Because if we talk about that, then we must be like a little crazy, a little cuckoo, right? So that we have, but that is also across this country. People don't feel like they want to talk about it. And then the other flip side is, so I talk about it, where is the care? You know, mental health counselors are hard to find. And especially mental health counselors of color, right? And I remember losing my mom 2 years ago, and I tried for like 6 months just trying to get a black woman, right? Who I thought could understand me a lot better. And I couldn't find a black woman, and I couldn't find a black man, and a brown man. I just couldn't, because they're not a lot, right? So, and then I just wanted to talk to anybody. And I couldn't find anybody. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to turn to what I know best. You know, when I was little, like your age, and I was struggling with a lot of things in my community. And I just started writing. I just turned to writing. I just start writing, because that really helps me. So I am not surprised by the numbers. I'm not, you know.
And something that we noticed too, because we have been doing mental screening health days. So we did one in Pawtucket, and we wanted one in Providence. But with the one we did in Pawtucket last year, we did it with interns with from Skills RI. We noticed that the more we talk about it, the community went. So we had this mental health screening day. In that day, we have station, we have teenagers working with us, and we have station, and we have one of them doing the screening day. And they have a couple of questions about mental health and questionnaires, and then depending on the answer or whatever the person needed, and we have station and places like watch some videos and do different activities that day. We noticed the community responded very well. They were included, and because everybody was doing it, they keep doing it. And then somebody came, bring the families, and the more we do it, the more open the people will become. So that will happen in the community in Pawtucket, and we plan to do it in Providence this year. So I like how we are talking about this, because we need to talk about this. I think everything comes to trust, and the more we talk about this, the more aware we are, and that's going to be making a difference in here. So one of the reasons you mentioned before, Marian, it was that sometimes you want to tell a teacher, sometimes you want to share, but you know the duty that we have to report.
Yeah.
However, I think even when you have to report, if trust is there,
Right.
if trust is there with that teacher, they will talk.
Yeah.
Because in my experience here through the years, I have been here for 12 years, through that experience, I have students that they start talking, and then when they start talking, they say, Miss, I have a friend, and that person comes, and I just say, oh, wait, I have to report 1, 2, 3. However, they continue.
Right.
Why do you think they continue? They may continue because they need the help.
Yeah.
And seeing it more, not as a punishment, because it's not that, more as getting the help the person needs.
Yeah.
Because we are doing some things that, like we said before, we have to do more. But something we are doing here is we are getting trained as youth mental health aid. Like we have that in the school, and we have resources. Like if somebody come and ask me, I have numbers, I have things that we could do. But the more we do it, I think the more the things you are doing right now, talking about it, I think that's going to be creating awareness, and that there are resources that we could do more, yes. But these numbers may change if we all as a community will get involved.
Yeah, and just talking about it and making it not taboo, You know,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be helpful.
It's because of lack of communication that people just don't want to talk about it because they
Yeah.
don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, and really and truly, it's not just EQ. It's not just Rhode Island. It's really
It's
across the
everywhere,
country.
Yeah.
You know, and especially if you talk about it, but you don't feel like there is the support
Yeah.
out
Yeah,
there,
that's
because
kind
that's
of
the
like
other piece. You
heartbreaking.
know, so I tell you all my stuff, but then what, right?
Yes, and awareness not everybody thinks is real. Like
Yeah.
it's people not. Some people don't even realize they be feeling down. Some people
Yeah.
probably don't even realize, oh, I've changed differently. And when their
Exactly.
friends tell them, oh, I haven't changed. No, people
Yeah.
have noticed, but you just don't see because you're mentally down. You haven't
Yeah.
seen. You haven't noticed. You
Yeah.
haven't. You've been losing weight. You just haven't noticed. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't know. So having that resource
Yeah.
to have someone to help you
Yeah.
and understand you and tell you the right path to go is
Yeah.
really helpful and really
Oh,
an impact.
absolutely. And you know, I have a degree in community health education as well. And so I've studied the anatomy and the physiology and just the mental capacity of all of us. So, you know, just trust in your body. You know, I don't feel well. You know yourself more than anyone else. You know, and if you don't feel well, what is the next step? I should talk to my teacher. I should talk to my parents. I should talk to my guardians. I should talk to somebody that I trust, because that's really, really important as well. And it cannot be overemphasized, you know, and it comes also to building relationships.
Yeah, because even for me, I tend to be a lot stubborn and not listen to people and be like, oh, it's just my way or like no way. Because
Yeah.
I'm afraid of people being judgmental most of the time. So,
Yeah.
because sometimes I'm not trying to be, sound mad or
Yeah.
negative, but some teachers can be kind of negative
Yeah.
in school. So
Yeah.
it's hard to approach any of the teachers like
Yeah.
that sometimes. So you just want to like keep to yourself and be like, oh, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
And me, I'm the
Yeah.
complete opposite. I like to tell teachers what they're doing wrong. Like I like to like if I see like a student or a student doing something wrong or a teacher, I'll call them out. I'd be like, that's not how you're supposed to do that. So that's like I feel like you should be treating this like because I feel like not a lot of because teachers feel like they have the authority. They very much do have the authority, but they don't have the authority to be disrespectful and don't have and I feel like they don't have the authority to put down students. And I feel like not a bunch of teachers in this school, but some teachers in the school have put students down and feel like they're not as worthy, not as smart. So then they go and don't do
Yeah.
as much what they do in their other classes because this certain teacher said, well, you're a dummy, you don't know how to do this, you don't know how to do that. So then it affects them and put that mental health because teachers thought they have that authority.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's another thing we have to train teachers as well. To just as well we have to train teachers, we have to train our not train parents, but teach parents that how to talk to students, how to talk to their kids, and how to let them know that you're okay to fail one class. I'm not going to yell at you for getting one F.
Yeah.
I know how it was to get that one F, that one quarter, but just knowing that you can bring it up is okay.
Yeah, and then the teacher trying to like talk and then completely condemn a student, like it's like very, very like
Yeah.
very, very strange and like it can affect
Yeah, it
the
makes you
student
feel small.
it makes me
Yeah.
honestly, I'm not gonna lie. About last week, I was saying I'm gonna drop out of high school because I was
Yeah.
like exhausted. I was
Yeah.
overwhelmed. And then the second thing is that when those teachers are like trying so hard to like talk, because I am the kind of person I don't like to be corrected.
Yeah.
And I don't like to be controlled.
Yeah.
So when you try to tell me something,
Yeah.
in as much I don't react negatively to whatever you say, it's because I'm telling my mind, calm down. Because I know I don't take it like that. The moment you pass it, I'm retaliating back.
Yeah.
And it's still it's not like because of whatever they say at that moment. It's because of what has happened to the person's like mental health in the past, for my own self that has happened,
Exactly.
and the way people already control me in the past. So when
Yeah.
you try to correct me, I
Yeah.
feel like you're trying to
I
take
think
charge
that's
of
a
my
big thing
life,
too. People
and
don't
then I
talk
just
about-
like boom want to react,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm telling my mind calm down
Yeah.
because I don't want to fight anybody before I leave school.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
have bad
And that's-
record.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like everything that happens, I'm thinking the
Yeah.
whole responsibility for myself. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have parents here, so if
Yeah.
I'm being kicked out of this school,
Yeah.
I'm going to face the problem. And honestly, once I'm out of this school or being kicked out,
Yeah.
I know I'm definitely going to join a bad thing outside
Yeah.
there. There's
Yeah.
no
And
more
I feel
school.
like people
Yeah.
don't talk about
Yeah.
like kids that are like not bad kids, but like kids that are definitely struggling outside of school or when they have outbursts. I feel like people, you
Yeah.
know, like just like I know I was one of them kids that used to just have outbursts, just walk out the class if
Yeah.
the teacher got me mad.
Yeah.
Because you know, like that's like me, like I feel like you're trying to control me. I feel like you're trying to overpower me, and I don't like that. Like I've never had that happen, so I feel
Yeah.
like you feeling like you having the authority to do that right now is very like overstepping over boundaries. So I feel like we should also talk to the kids who have them outbursts, because obviously they're going through something if they feel like they have the need to yell at a teacher,
Yeah,
if they feel
yeah.
they have the need, because I be seeing videos of kids fighting teachers. There should be no need for
Yeah.
students to be fighting. They're obviously going through
Yeah.
something deep down inside
Yeah,
that we don't
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that we're just contributing, you know, suspending them, getting them in trouble, and then they're gonna continue to act out. And I feel like they don't pay attention to that. Rather than just
Yeah.
going to suspend, I feel like
Yeah.
talk to them. Let's go. Let's talk to you here. Let's see here. Let's have an in school suspension while
Yeah.
you're still
Exactly.
doing your work. Because my
Yeah.
old school, we used to have in school suspensions,
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
days in school,
Yeah.
and you're still able to do your work. So you're still able to catch up.
Yeah.
Rather than being outside of school and having fun,
Yeah.
and like not being able to catch up.
That's not gonna work in this, because you trying to tell
Yeah.
them to go, they'll be like, oh, I don't want to come to school
Yeah.
anyways, you just give me this power, and then you trying to be
Yeah.
I don't think like for you to try to help a student mental health,
Yeah.
you have to be harsh on them, because you being harsh, you're just giving them the power that okay, you're not
Yeah.
needed in this school environment anymore,
Yeah.
and they'll just go home and have fun. I mean,
Yeah.
some of them won't even go home, they can go hang out with their boyfriend and
Yeah.
then keep you like smoking, doing whatever they
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
It's because they're not smoking because they want to, they're doing all this stuff because they're
For
like
distracting.
overwhelmed and they just want
Yeah.
to like get themselves out of it. Like
Yeah.
sometimes when she said, "Hey, no, this I already have it." Like when we
Yeah.
walked in, I felt like, "Are you trying to control me?"
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm telling my brain, "Calm down," because
Yeah.
that's what people has done in the past. But they
Yeah.
really do that to hurt me. But I know
Yeah.
she doesn't mean it to like
Yeah.
for bad things. She's
Right,
just trying to
right.
correct. So. Every therapy session that I have, like I keep learning about myself every single day, but like it's like very affecting like my way. And this school doesn't. Sorry to say, but like I'm gonna be real here. They don't really give space between therapy section and school section. Like after school, that's where my therapy section is. Me staying after school doesn't really make sense for my own health, because I have to be at somewhere that needs to let me know more about myself. But I have to stay after school, else I'm going to get an F.
Yeah, I feel like that's a thing. We
So
have
that's
to
a red
worry
flag.
about ourselves. We have to. There's a thing. We have to like be in with ourselves, and
Yeah.
we have to learn ourselves before
Yeah.
learning anything. We have to learn a way how to teach.
Yeah.
Like some people don't. Me personally,
Yeah.
I come to Saturday school because I cannot learn in algebra. I cannot learn at all, like with all these people. So I can be in Saturday school and just learn
Yeah.
just one. While Miss
Yeah.
Santos is only teaching me one time at a time, but
Yeah.
not other students teach like that. So I feel like we have to learn ourselves before learning how to even do anything and everything.
Yeah.
The bill 6234, read by Kate Slack. And the bill is about 4 mental health days being excused as absences, for one for each quarter. So, do you think the bill is worth passing and will make a difference for mental health?
Absolutely. Just one word. Absolutely.
Yes, it will make an impact in the student's life. Yes,
Yeah.
it's important to pass it.
Yeah.
Timothy and Elvin, do you think it has like an effect on us students as?
Yeah, it was definitely just the beginning. I think we're hope to get more in the future, so it's just a stepping stone of what's gonna happen in the future, 100%.
Yeah, of course. I think that bill will really help a lot of students, especially students like me that are overwhelmed with a lot of schoolwork. Especially because I have really strict parents, so that will help me to basically rest and get better. So sleep and get better.
Yes, I also agree. I think it's just the very beginning. I think it's one step that leads to a major big step that can help a lot with the mental health.
And with the 2020 COVID-19 virus that happened and the way that it's impacted the students' life. So for me, I think this bill is like really worth passing. Because even aside from people that doesn't have strict parents, my parent doesn't live here with me, so I have to carry all the responsibilities for myself that I know that, because I know that the rest are like following my step and to be the first generation in my family to finish high school. That means a lot. So I think this will really, really help because I've been so hard on myself lately. Yeah.
Be kind to yourself.
I will
Try
try.
to be kind. Try to just look in the mirror and say, Kemi's fine. But
Yeah.
again, don't be afraid to ask for help because help is available. And, this bill is long overdue.
Yeah.
And we need it now. So I want to thank my friend and former colleague in the General Assembly, Rep. Kislak, for introducing this bill and to the co-sponsors as well. Thank you. I look forward to this passing. And I think it goes into effect the next school year, September 1st, 2023. So it would be a good start for all Rhode Island children, including the children here at EQ Academy.
Yeah, and speaking of that, for what we've been hearing, they say the school is going to start 7 next year. So I hope all this bill is being passed so that it will relieve the stress. Because me that I can't even make it to school at 8:30 something. I don't know if I can make it to school at 7 o'clock.
So one step at a time, right? Don't pile on yourself. It's a year away, right?
Yeah, I pray
So just stay in the moment. Stay in the moment
I
and do the best you can.
Yeah.
I want to thank Ms. Sabatier and Ms. Reagan Basso for coming in and speaking, and to Ms. Shane Elvin also for being listeners too, and Mr. Dion for helping as well too.
And I want to say big thanks to Miriam for being my partner.
And thank you for this opportunity of being here with all of you.
Thank you guys so much. This is a really lively conversation, and we would like to see you next time on our next podcast.